Every January, gyms all around the world are filled with New Year resolutioners. But every February, the number of people there drops to its original level that were there in December. I used to be one of these for many years. I would buy expensive gym memberships, but rarely go. I would eat too much junk food, and 2 years ago, I weighed 200 pounds. I managed to turn things around since then, and a key reason for that was reading The Power of Habit and understanding how habits work. For the past 2 years, I managed to consistently go to the gym, eat much less junk food, and I managed to get down from 200 pounds to 176 pounds. So why are habits important? Well, Aristotle said that we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. And recent research supports the same thing, as it was found that 40% of the actions people perform each day aren't actual decisions, but habits. So the key lesson in this book is an explanation of how habits work. So I will try to quickly explain the habit loop, and then I will show how I used it to build good habits and to break bad habits. The first part of the habit is the cue, and this is the trigger that sets off the habit. This can be a certain time, a location, or an emotional state. The cue leads to the routine, and this is simply the action triggered by the cue. And the last part of the habit loop is the reward. This is the reinforcement of the action. Examples of these are things like a piece of chocolate or a 10-minute relaxation break. The reward is important because this is what tells your brain that this habit loop is important and should be reinforced. So I used this habit loop to start a good habit, which was going to the gym. The most important part of starting a good habit is to give yourself a consistent cue. The cue I set for myself was relating to time, and the time was gonna be when I wake up. I also set a visual cue, which was my gym bag being ready in the middle of my room. So it's gonna be really difficult to build a habit if you don't know the exact cue that's gonna trigger the action. So you can't say I'm gonna go to the gym at some point in the day. You have to give yourself an exact cue. And although I didn't use this when I started a habit, a really good way to start the habit of going to the gym is to find a gym buddy. So that was the cue, and the routine is obviously going to the gym, and the next key part of the habit loop is the reward. The great thing about building a habit of going to the gym is that there's a built-in reward there. You are gonna feel great after going to the gym. But another thing I did to build a habit was to skip breakfast before I went, and then get to have a large meal right after my workout. Now, this may not seem like much, but having a set cue before my routine and a set reward after it really helped me build a habit after struggling to do so for many years. Now I'm gonna use the habit loop to explain how I broke the bad habit of eating too much junk food. The thing is, you can't really break a bad habit because the cue will still be there that will trigger the routine. So the only thing you can do is to figure out what the cues are and then replace the routine with something more positive. So again, the key to breaking a bad habit is to figure out what is the cue that triggers the habit. And then you eliminate the trigger or replace the trigger with a different routine. So the first thing I noticed is that I would randomly see junk food around the house and I would automatically go and eat it even though I didn't want to. So the obvious fix to this problem was to not buy the junk food in the first place. So I started being more aware when I went shopping not to buy it in the first place. The second cue was, in between meals I would get slightly hungry and then I'd go to open the fridge and look for a small meal. And there were no small meals around, so I would go and eat some junk food instead. The way I figured out to fix that problem is to cook boiled eggs, so when I'd be slightly hungry, I would look in the fridge and I could eat a boiled egg instead. I would also have some healthy snacks like nuts, for example. So I had to find the cues that led to the bad habit and then replace the bad habit of eating junk food with eating healthier snacks. Again, this doesn't seem like much, but this really helped improve my diet. I hope this helped you understand better how habits work. I would recommend reading the book because it will give you a better understanding of how to build and break habits, and it is important to have a good understanding because belief is a critical component of successful habit change. If you enjoyed watching this video, then click subscribe to see when I upload new videos like this.